I think the largest problem we engage every day, and it's about the culture on projects, right? I mean, we watch the contractors getting beaten up, and the designer get beaten up, and the owner beating up everybody, and everybody is it's sort of a mess. And we have adopted, and I actually wrote a book recently, so it's all about your team, and the idea is that you can work as a team. I mean, everybody's important down to the trade level. I can't say enough. The trades, they're the most important part of the whole job. If you think about it, if you don't design what they can build, you haven't done your job. If you don't help them, support them, in giving what they need to build, they're not going to show up. If they don't show up, guess what? Nothing's getting done. So we're really we're on a kind of a in the life of our company, we have a one team shared success philosophy. We encourage that collaboration all the way through the project, and it really changes the dynamics of the job. And in fact, it becomes like a fun job to work on. People are working together, and people are all together on the same goals and objectives, and it really works well for us.
All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Builder's Bible. I'm joined by Michael Giaramita, and he is industry veteran. He's been around for over 50 years in the construction industry, and he's actually working and has some huge contracts. And so he is going to bring a totally different perspective to our conversation. I'm really excited to dive in with him. Michael, my first question is always the same. Tell us a little bit about your story. How did you guys get into the industry? And then kind of a little bit about your business today.
Oh, thank you. It's great to be here. This is what an honor to do this for your agency. As I started my career, I grew up in New York, and I always built stuff. I built a fort, an empty lot. I rebuilt bicycles, a go-kart. And as I was going to college, there was this dream about building a transit system all around New York. Something that would circle New York and make commuting in New York a lot better. So anyway, that was like 50 years ago. Went to college, came out, and actually now we just won a contract with with the MTA to build the second MU subway extension in Manhattan, which is the last piece that connects all the subways together. So it's like all this stuff. I write stuff down in my life, and stuff comes true. So it's kind of interesting what's happening. So I've been performing design and construction in various fields, like petrochemical to mass transit to airports, university, hospitals, commercial buildings, all my life. And in the last two companies, I grew a successful business in project management and construction management up to about 100 people. And at the age of 55, I decided, why not just build my own company? So that's what I did. That's 15 years ago. I wanted to build a company that had great organizational culture. I mean, every company I've worked for, they've always had pieces of stuff, but never a complete package of, a company that was a leadership and cared about the people and just a great company. And so that's what I think I've done. And the name Group PMX, PMX came out of an article I wrote many years ago about the difference between construction management and program management. And when I labeled PMX, I said PMX is program management, which is project management to the X power. And that we adopted it as our company logo.
Michael, I'm going to go off script a little bit here with some of the questions, but so you're doing some pretty large deals. And a lot of the builders that I've talked to, they're commercial guys, sometimes 15, 30 million, $100 million a year. I mean, that's probably less than one of these contracts that you're getting to redo or to connect all of the subway system. Like, what does it take to land a large deal like that? Like, what's the timeline? Is it a lot of playing golf with the right people? Like, how do you even land a deal like that?
So I don't play golf. That's probably a weakness in myself. But we're not. So we work as an extension of staff, basically. Sometimes we actually have a project, we lead that project with a prime, and like Delta Airlines at LaGuardia Airport. That was a $4 billion job. We were about 30 of the 150 people that were doing construction management on that project. So our role was we had the head house and the roadways. We ran those two areas. The volume of those projects, let's call it, almost $3 billion on our side, and we had staff there, and then we had all the trades. There was 2,000 people in the field every day building that project. So our volume of dollars is not as great as being a trade contractor. So we are basically hired as a management consultant, um, and doing project management, program management, or construction management. But we do. So I guess to answer your question, it's knowing the right people, right? We team a lot with the big people, Tishman, AECOM, Skanska. We've all worked with them closely. So when we started a company, one of our things that we did was we didn't want to compete. That was sort of our blue ocean strategy. It's a Blue Ocean's a book that's it's actually pretty good about. I don't know if you read it yourself, Andrew, but it's how do you want to come out of business and be kind of non-compete. So like I would say, Apple is a blue ocean company. Everybody goes, they make something, everybody goes and buys it. So we started a company by non-competing and being a partner. So that's like 15 years ago. We want to be partnered with everybody. So that has resonated very well with us and a lot of the large firms we work with. So we get a lot of opportunity from that. And then we do business development with our clients and such. But most of our big work has come through our partnerships.
That's a really good word. And I think I love that for a lot of our listeners. Look, the way that we grew is by being a strategic partner for the clients we work with. I think that's a totally different angle. And I love that that keeps you in a blue ocean, which I think is a real key. If you had to say, Michael, what sticking points do you have? Like what not necessarily keeps you up at night, but like what kind of problems or barriers are you trying to break through?
So, I think the largest problem we engage every day, and it's about the culture on projects, right? I mean, we watch the contractors getting beaten up, and the designer get beaten up, and the owner beating up everybody, and everybody is it's sort of a mess. And we have adopted, and I actually wrote a book recently. So it's all about your team, and the idea is that you can work as a team. I mean, everybody's important down to the trade level. I can't say enough. The trades, they're the most important part of the whole job. If you think about it, if you don't design what they can build, you haven't done your job. If you don't help them, support them, in giving what they need to build, they're not going to show up. If they don't show up, guess what? Nothing's getting done. So we're really we're on a kind of a in the life of our company, we have a one team shared success philosophy. We encourage that collaboration all the way through the project, and it really changes the dynamics of the job. And in fact, it becomes like a fun job to work on. People are working together, and people are all together on the same goals and objectives, and it really works well for us.
All right. That's interesting. Let's talk about, let's see, artificial intelligence for a second. How do you see it shaping your industry and how are you guys leveraging it?
Good question. So we just engaged a company out of Italy to build us an AI app. One of the things that we we look for. So first thing in the morning, you come to a job. There's all these indicators on that job. What's going to happen that day? So first thing is how many people show up. How many of the tradespeople are there? Electricians and plumbers and concrete people. How many are supposed to be there, and how many show up? If not all of them show up, let's say half of them show up, only half the work's getting done. That's a really easy indicator. So we like to manage that every day. So every morning we're tagging people, seeing who's comes to the gate, and use that information to correct. Let's say if half the electricians show up, why are they not showing up? Is there a problem on the job? Is there something a delivery problem or a material shortage or a design problem? Get to the bottom of those issues because delays are the most hurtful thing on a job. So we're building this AI app to look at all this data that we get every day and sort of summarize in seconds where the problems are. And we think that's going to be a big change to the industry because it takes so long to get data. But if you connect all the dots in the beginning, you have that working every morning, every day. The information is there, and data is great to use, right? It's how we run our business on data.
Okay. What is an area that you feel like AI could be used in your business, but you're not really leveraging it yet?
So that's one thing, and we're building apps. Or this first app we're building, we're also looking at how do we do marketing better? How do we get all the so if we're looking at all the agencies in the city, how do we get their stuff automatically? So we're building an AI app to go back into those websites and pick out projects that we would like to work on and automate that process rather than having people go do that. We're also using AI in our accounting system. We built our and let me start again too. We started our company virtually 15 years ago, so we've been a total virtual company. A lot of the systems we built are you can operate on your iPhone. So all our accounting, all of our people, where they go, and proposals and stuff all come out of our system. And so AI will help us even automate that even more. And so because everything's on one platform now, and we operate very lean and very efficiently. So I think AI, I use it. I'm using it more and more every day. Um, I think it's a great tool. I think it brings tremendous value to what we do every day.
Michael, what is when it comes to the work that you actually manage? I would imagine, and I'm going a little bit off script here, but I would imagine something like the subway project has to be a feat of not only just labor and having all the pieces put together, but also just the engineering. Like, can you speak to a little bit of the complexity of engineering a project like that, and what part of that do you oversee and manage?
So if we're in the project earlier, let's sort of on a program management role. We're doing a $15 billion project in New York City for it's called Burr-based jails. They're closing Rikers Island, which was been the main jail for many years, and we're building four high-rise jails in Manhattan, Queens, Bronx, and Brooklyn. The jails are $3 to $4 billion each, and that's going design build. So design build is sort of helping us with just getting through the initial part of design. You just you do a 30% and then you take it from there. I and I caution. I mean, with this design build is really catching on in New York right now. It's great for some product, but it's not so good for other products. I think it's not good for renovation projects because you don't know they're not fully scoped. So I think delivery using different things to deliver using AI like to check things that you can look forward on design. What does that really turn out to be? You don't have to do full design. You can use AI to sort of um, bring you into the future. And so I think it's a great tool. I think it'll be a great tool for everybody.
Michael, what's one thing that gets you fired up that we haven't talked about yet today? What's, something you're passionate about? It could be a business principle, it could be a trend you're seeing, it could be something more personal and faith related. Kind of the floor is yours.
So my passion has turned out all my life I've been doing stuff that's been kind of weird. Maybe people thought was weird and was successful at things. So and it came down to one common thread, and that's about the people. And my passion is about creating teams and building teams, allowing those teams to work together and be successful. There's a book out there. It's called How Big Things Get Done, and it's it says that only less than 5% of all projects are successful. Budget, schedule, and goals. And a lot of those things happen because people don't work together. We watch it all the time. The engineers are having fights with the contractor, and everybody's fighting. And I think there's a much better way to do that and hold everybody accountable. So my passion is really about building teams, successfully building teams, and using data to keep those teams running very efficiently. A trade contractor wants to send his people to work. He sends a person there. He works 8 hours. He wants to get paid 8 hours. He doesn't want to go and get and work for 8 hours and get paid for two because there's a claim or there's some issue. It's all about removing obstacles. It's all about keeping the job going, planning, and getting everybody to look at each other. Look at each other's work to make sure it's all going well. One thing we do, we flip like punch list. I don't know why punch list ever came out as a thing, but punch list. Every job is punch list. We now try to put the designers on QC. Send them out to the field the first day. Let's get that stuff out of the way. If a trade person doing something wrong, let's tap them on the back. That wasn't my intent. Here's my intent, and work with everybody to get the best value, because getting out of a job and not having punch lists is a big savings to everybody. Tremendous,
That's really.
especially to the trades.
So you've said a couple things about just kind of like team culture. So I know that a lot of construction builders, home builders, culture can be pretty hit or miss. What are some keys to building a really good team culture, and kind of instilling that from the top down, especially virtually, since a lot of you said your company is virtual?
Well, we are on site, so our people go to projects every day. I think you sort of lead people to do the right thing, and and sometimes there's times when you can't get everybody to play in the same game, and you have to change things. Sometimes somebody has to be removed, and somebody has to. That sends a message to a lot of people, and especially if that person's disruptive. Then I think everybody knows that person's disruptive, but you really have to get everybody on the same place, and also help the trades. Like, I'll give you an example of something that happened on a job. I was doing a project for Columbia University. It was a new business law building. We were 3 months from finishing that building. It was back in 1999. It was the first electronic classroom that Columbia was developing. It was for, again, the business and the law school. We're 3 months away, and somebody comes up with a problem. They said, "Oh, by the way, we have a 4-inch cable that has to go through a 2-inch conduit from the podium to the audiovisual room." And so what did the contract say? I'm going to get the jackhammer out and start the jackhammer that pipe out of the concrete. Now I've got finishes going in. I've got millwork in, um, and I said, no, let's stop. Everybody come to a room. We'll all sit down and just decide what we could do together. Within like 30 minutes, this AV guy, a young 25-year-old AV guy, said, by the way, I had a situation where we had something similar. Um, I had a 2-inch cable, and I had to push 4 inches of throughput through it. And I bought this little $50 part. That $50 part saved us $1 million in
Wow.
2 months, and probably 2 to 3 months of delay on that project. So the team, and getting everybody's opinion and soliciting that, and if you do that as a norm or not an exception basis, I think jobs will go so much better, and 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 people will make money. People will be able to bid better. You take some clients you have that are just tough as nails. If you change their philosophy, people will bid better because they don't want to put that extra 3 to 5% in their bid because of the problems they have. So all these things come around to really getting a very successful project.
I love that. Michael, if people want to learn more about who you are and what you do, where can they go?
Um, I'm saying that again.
And also, if people want to learn more about who you are and what you do, where can they go? And then tell us a little bit about your book as well.
Yeah. So it's www.grouppmx.com. Been around 15 years. We're in New York mainly. We're expanding now to the south. We're in Delaware doing a big project for a bank. Um, so I'm pretty visible. I wrote a book last year. It launched in December, and it's about your team. And the name of the book. It's all about your team. It's on the logo of our screen. The the book is just accumulation of all the things, the projects I've done, mostly projects, and what I did kind of different on a project. And again, everything I do is sort of data driven. Like I look at some of the big mistakes we do as an industry. Scheduling is probably the most abused thing we do. I can't tell you enough how many times we go to a job. The schedule is used as a report to report back what's happened. It's a history thing. It is not a history thing. It's a proactive. It's your schedule. It's your thing you're going to do every day on a job. And if you pay attention to that, maybe you'll get things done faster and better. So we do a lot of we have like 12 schedulers in our company, and we work for a lot of big companies that help them do their scheduling and be proactive about what they're doing. Because again, I can't say enough. Delays are the most harmful thing that happens on a project, and it happens all the
Yeah.
time. One trade gets
Hmm.
delayed, that stops every other trade at some point because they can't do the follow-on work. So you have to avoid those delays.
Hmm. That's good. Yeah, I see that in a lot. I see that with a ton. I mean, something as small as like a home builder who doesn't get the vanity they need, but it pulls the room together, right? And it's delayed because the manufacturer has, delays with their kind of entire chain of all their products. So I see that, and I would imagine on a larger scale, it's a lot more painful. So well, Michael, thank you so much for joining us today. I learned a lot. Thank you for taking some time to share some wisdom with us. And don't go anywhere because I want to keep talking. But guys, go check out Michael's book and check out his website as well. And thanks again, Michael, for joining us.
Okay, thank you.